What is up, YouTube? We're back with another stream, but also going to be making a long form content video out of this for our best ball ranking kind of series that we're going through. So today we're going to be using the Fantasy Pros best ball rankings right here, right now. We're going to enter the Poodle $7 draft with these rankings. 350K in prizes, 40K to first. It's almost full, 78% full, probably filled by the end of tonight or tomorrow, but it's a good structure. You get the top two in the first 12 that you draft in advance into the second round of playoffs, which would be week 15. Then you need to come in first out of 6 in weeks 16. In week 15. And then in week 16, you need to come in first out of 5. And then week 17 is a 310 person final. Obviously, first place gets 40K, but you can place all the way down to 9,300 to get your $7 back. If you do make the final, you will be guaranteed $300. So that's pretty neat. Yeah, we didn't max this one out. This will be our 5th Poodle, and then we'll do one more after this to have 6, and that'll probably be it. But I want to take a look at the rankings that Fantasy Pros has. Previously, we did a video with the Underdog network rankings that Hayden Winks refines and goes over every year. He actually just did an update on those, so we may have to do another video with the updated rankings, and they'll update again throughout the summer, given the camps, injuries, and various things that go on throughout the summer in best ball and football. Yeah, so not too much going on here. They have CD here at 3, which is a little unlike most rankings, ahead of Jefferson. That's kind of how I rank it. I will note too, before we even go farther into these rankings, we did make our finals team last year using the Fantasy Pro rankings that was on our channel. We drafted. It was a hiccup draft though. We had the starting screen up for a lot of that draft until the very end, where I noticed that I had that on. But again, these rankings did get us to a final and won us $800 in that lobby. So that was pretty neat and cool to see that play out with this. But yeah, let's continue to look at these rankings. Bijan at 2. We're not going to go too in depth because we will just be using these as we draft. Saquon all the way down at 7. I do have the notes version on. If while we're doing this, you guys want to kind of pause and read over some of these notes. If you do want to look at these rankings, they will be in the description below. Not on this video for the live stream, but they will be for the long form content video. So make sure you check these out. I'm actually going to put these in for the live stream as well after I'm done recording this. But yeah, it's going to be pretty neat to use these. Like I said, we can kind of look at some of these notes if we want to. I wish they had notes on Saquon. No reason that they have him at 7 here. I guess I've stated my worries with Barkley, and everyone should have their own doubts because of historically low passing volume in that offense, because of extremely high run volume with Saquon and him getting like 500 touches, including playoffs. So concerning for a running back. Don't think they use him to the same capacity that they did last year, but could very well be wrong. The reasoning behind Puka at 6. 9th in red zone targets. I think he could actually with Devontae there, it does help him out a little bit. Maybe not in the red zone though. Devontae is a red zone threat. I do think their target shares become like they're the funnels of the offense, as we saw with Cooper Kupp and Puka. They can both coexist, so Devontae and Puka can also coexist, especially that they're in different parts of the field. Uniquely enough, it's actually a better pairing for Puka than Cooper Kupp, because Puka and Cooper Kupp kind of ran similar route trees, where now Devontae's like a true X alpha that can run everything, and Puka can now play the underneath and get the PPR scam along with, his yak ability. They have BTJ at 9, ahead of Malik Neighbors. Because of T-Law back and Liam Cohen. Neighbors does get an upgrade quarterback. They have CMC at 12. I'm not sure I think these constantly update. Yeah, it's the latest ECR. Nico at 13. I'm higher on Nico. I'm probably higher on Nico than Amon Ra. Nothing really jumping out to me. Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels pretty high here as well. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below about these rankings that they have on here. Would be interesting to see what jumps out to you guys and girls, and where you think players should or shouldn't be ranked based on the Fantasy Pros rankings. Again, what jumps out to me, the quarterbacks are notably high in this versus where they go on Underdog. I'm assuming that these 4 best ball are 4 half point. But let's go ahead and start this draft up and rip, and we'll kind of look as we go at the rankings, because we tried to download the CSV. Again, if you try to download the CSV, there's no ID to where they can fit into the rankings on here. So if you go to CSV upload download and you try to upload these rankings, there's no ID where they can be placed, is the only problem. If you want to use the Underdog rankings, there is an ID, but you might have to change the capital I to a lowercase. So again, we're going to have to just jump back and forth and look at the rankings here, which can be tricky sometimes because later we get in drafts, the bigger the gap can be for where they have guys ranked and where Underdog has people ranked in the community. Let's take a look at the Schnauzer T draft we have going real quick too. This is a slow draft. We just took Joe Mixon. We went CD, AJ Brown, Chase Brown, Jalen Hurts, and then we grabbed Joe Mixon. Don't have a ton of Mixon. We did max the Schnauzer, so decided to grab a share of Mixon just because they get him in there. In that area, we have a lot of Kenneth Walker, Kamara, not a ton of Harvey. We have a ton of Pickens too, so didn't want them. Don't have much Flowers or Waddle, but we'll take the running back there. Because I think coming back around, I like this group of receivers at pick 68. So I am a fan of like Olave, Judy, blah, blah, blah. Let's get back into our Poodle draft though. We are at pick 9. Again, we are using the Fantasy Pros best ball rankings. For pick 9, they actually have Brian Thomas Jr. Fun fact, I did a Schnauzer draft, and at pick 6, I'm pretty sure it was, I did take BTJ just to flip the board, get a little crazy and unique. Will it pay off? Probably not, but was it a fun draft? For sure. Chase, Barkley, Jefferson, Lamb off the board. According to Fantasy Pros, it should have gone Chase, Bijan, Lamb, Jefferson, and Barkley shouldn't have even gone. Bijan off at 5. And we're up next on the board at 9. We can go ahead and take BTJ. And I think that's what we're going to do. They have BTJ at 9, and we're going to roll with it. Again, we're drafting off these rankings. Fun little exercise. It does flip the board a little bit. Usually BTJ is going right here at the turn. A lot of people don't differentiate off of that. I rarely see him drop to this range. Coming back around at pick 16, they would have Derrick Henry for us. Might even be able to go Brock. Or London. They have Derrick Henry, but Bowers is actually slotted ahead of Derrick Henry by 1 at 15. So we're actually going to go Brock Bowers there at 16. So we start with BTJ and Brock Bowers. Typically Brock is going somewhere in this range at 16, 17, 18. So for this contest in general, a little bit unique to have a BTJ Brock Bowers build. Again, where BTJ would be going at the turn, 11, 12, 13, maybe 14. And then Brock going somewhere else in the second. So not a common pairing there. And then this is where the rankings get tricky. It's hard to plan out our pick from here because of how many turns or how many picks go before us. We are back on at 33, so if we get kind of an idea on their rankings, 33 would be Kyron Williams, and it just so happens that Kyron usually comes back around. Also on Underdog ADP at 33. Now, if we can get more value on somebody else that they're higher on, like Breece Hall, we could take one of the quarterbacks instead because they are higher on them usually. Mike Evans is actually at 25. In their rankings, which means we would definitely be able to get Mike Evans at 33 if we want him. And we can also grab Lamar. Lamar would be their other choice there. Lamar goes, so never mind there. Kyron off the board. We can snag Mike Evans. I think for the sake of this video, I'd prefer to grab Josh Allen and see if Evans comes back around. So they had Josh Allen at 29, Mike Evans at 25. I did want Evans, but he is one of my higher drafted players. So I think I just wanted to differentiate just a little bit here. Pick 40, they have Jalen Hurts. Obviously, we're not going to get Hurts. Tyreek's all the way at 39, not going to get him. Not going to grab Kittle because of our build. They have James Cook ranked pretty high at 38. Kenneth Walker is at 41 for them. DJ Moore at 43. Pretty realistic we could get Kenneth Walker later. So not going to jump the gun there. Again, James Cook or George Kittle tends to be the pick here. Yeah, why not? We'll go James Cook. Stack Josh Allen, James Cook, kind of own the backfield there, own the rushing touchdowns. So now we have a complete balanced build out of the gate with BTJ, Brock Bowers, Josh Allen, James Cook. We own the onesie positions. We definitely need receivers now. Again, on Underdog, receivers are very highly valued. It might have been better to take Mike Evans instead of Josh Allen. Just wanted to change up my exposures. On Underdog, they have Rice at 34. Rice does not go at the 2-3 turn. He goes at the 1 or at the 2. He doesn't go at the 3-4 turn. He goes at the 2-3 turn. So not even close to where our pick was. Kittle was on the board, but unfortunately we went Bowers. So not an option there for us. McLaurin goes earlier. JSN goes earlier. Kyron was already off the board when we picked Josh Allen. So a lot of things factoring into these picks. Obviously, we need to make or build a well-structured team. Now out of the gate here, pick 57 coming around. Says Zay Flowers. I don't think Zay Flowers will make it back to us. He probably goes off to the Lamar team per usual. Jameson's already off. Hunter's off. Metcalf's off. We could get Chuba. Yeah, Zay goes. Chuba could be an option. Amari Hampton's already off. Cortland Sutton is probably off. Monte Smith's off. Worthy's off. Tet's off. They're really high on running backs. Ridley off. They really like running backs, so we're going to go Mixon at 57. Kind of right on par with ADP there. And then as we come back around at pick 64, we will have to take a receiver. Again, they're higher on running back than receiver. Calvin Ridley already went before we even had a pick. Waddle's been off. They like Jordan Addison. I don't know if they're factoring in his suspension. I do think he drops in ADP. Judy, Olave. So we could take one of those guys. Olave off. Judy's an option for us. Godwin. They have Addison higher ranked. We can't go Addison because of his looming suspension, so maybe we go Jerry Jeudy here. That's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to go Jerry Jeudy here. So now we lock in a 1-2-2-1 build. It's a tougher build the way we had everything schemed out because of taking a quarterback and tight end so early. We're going to lack some receiver value here, especially going to running backs. But based off the rankings, we're trying to keep it as true to the rankings as possible. And again, they have running backs pushed up a lot higher. It is half PPR, but not sure that they're necessarily I mean, it's best ball rankings, but I don't know if they're factoring in the 3 wide receivers or not. Could have very easily won James Conner there. But again, we need some sort of receiver production, having to start 3 receivers on Underdog. We're going to end up coming back around at pick 81. Where they do have Mahomes. Not interested in Mahomes. Jacoby Myers is going to be off by the time that they get back to us. They're not very high on Jacoby. Again, all these running backs are pushed down on their rankings in terms of overall. But let's take a look at, if we just click receivers, we could get more of an idea of where they rank. They do like Shakir. we should have a shot at Shakir. The group of receivers that I like is just getting plucked away. We do have a chance at Shakir though, and Diggs. Actually, Diggs is gone. Don't know if they factored in the recent news with Ayuk. Pearsall's off. Downs is off. Jacoby Myers finally goes. They do like Darnell Mooney. We're on the board. We do have Josh Allen and James Cook, so we could go Khalil Shakir here. We will go Khalil Shakir here. Then we're also going to go Emeka Egbuka, who they like at 51. They like Christian Kirk and Michael Pittman more. We could go Michael Pittman if we wanted to. And they actually like Brandon Ayuk more, but he's been interesting with what's been going on. If he does make it to us, potentially, but he's been falling down draft boards. Do they have Mooney higher than Egbuka? They do have Mooney higher than Egbuka. We could go Mooney. Will be a Mooney or Egbuka team. Never mind. Egbuka off, Mooney off. Ayuk does fall into our lap. And we'll go ahead and take Brandon Ayuk, I guess, here. Things are a little bit strange out there in the 49er world, but you know, Ayuk's been tweeting out about them. It's been strange. It's been strange if you guys have kept up with the news. Brandon Ayuk's been kind of crashing out on the Niners, but we will ride with that pick. They have him ranked as the 43rd best. But again, we'll see what happens there. He is our 4th receiver. We do go 3 receivers in a row with Judy, Shakir, and Ayuk. We should have solid production with BTJ, Judy, and Shakir to start the year. With Ayuk kind of like a later guy to perform. So hopefully can mix that in a little bit. More guys that have early season upside to make up for the Ayuk production that most likely won't be there. Come back around at 105. Let's go back to normal rankings and see what 105 bodes for us. Caleb Williams. Now we have no Chicago ties, so that will not be an option. Running backs are flying off the board. They like Cam Scatterbo. So potentially Scatterbo. They have him at 99. And I think that's somewhere we could go. They do like Rashid Shaheed as well. Where was Shaheed at? And Shaheed's all the way down in 122. So Scatterbo is an option. I like Tucker Kraft, who I also like a lot. Jonnu. Shaheed off the board. Baker is a big faller. They have Bo Nix at 87 and Fields at 86. We could pair the two. I don't think we do that though. I think we go Cam Scatterbo. Lock in a 3rd running back. Now we kind of look again and see what we need. Again, they're high on Jonnu, but we did go early tight end, so not something we really need. And same with quarterback, not something we really need. They do like Charbonnet at 113 or Ramondre. Ramondre might be off now. So one of these two guys could do us well. They have Luther Burden anywhere. Burden at 120. Bateman at 125. And they are big fans of Christian Kirk, whom we could also go. We could reach on some Christian Kirk. They are a big fan of Kirk. He is all the way up at... Where's Kirk at for them? Christian Kirk at 111. So I think we actually are going to go Christian Kirk here. They're a fan of him at 111. We seem to get a value there with that. So it may appear. We lock in a 5th receiver, which is nice. It gives us another option and out to a quarterback in CJ Stroud if we want to take CJ Stroud. We could also pair up Brock Bowers with Geno. Fields falls to 113. JJ off early at 115. Trevor Lawrence is also an option for us. So we have options at quarterback. Again, we're probably only going to take 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends here because of the early draft capital there. We're 9 picks away. Back on the clock at 129. Let's take a look. We'd be around Keon Coleman. He's long gone. Jake Ferguson at tight end. Dalton Kincaid. I don't know if I want to do the whole Buffalo build there. Bateman's gone. Javonte will probably be gone. In terms of the receivers where they have up here, gone. Byshol Tootin could be an option. I don't really want to attack that offense, but we could. Never mind, Tootin goes. Drake May could be an option if he did make it all the way to us. I don't think that actually happens. Rashad Bateman goes. No, Drake May finally goes. Anyway, we're looking for like Rashad White, they're big on. High on. Tajay could be a potential as well. I think for the sake of the video, I want to get Ramondre, but if not, we go Tajay. I do have a lot of Rashad White. Tajay goes, so never mind. Stevenson goes, so now we're kind of in a little pickle here. Tyler Warren at 137. They like Jake Ferguson more. I know they're really high on Njoku, so we do have Judy, so let's sneak in some Njoku with Judy. That'll lock down tight end for us. And now pick 136. Trey Benson could be there for us. They do like Tank Bigsby as well. It's interesting to see all the running backs ahead of the receivers. CJ Stroud does go. We could go Trevor Lawrence here, actually. Where's Trevor Lawrence in their rankings? Trevor Lawrence is at 124, so we're actually going to go Trevor Lawrence. Finish up at quarterback and tight end. We pair T-Law with our first round draft pick in Brian Thomas. We also pair Josh Allen with James Cook and Shakir. Now we just need to hit on later round running back and receiver, which we can take 6 and 8 of. If we really felt comfortable at receiver, we could just take 7 and take 7 running backs if we wanted to. But we're going to be back on the clock at 153 and 160. So again, back to the rankings. And again, this is where it gets pretty hard because if you can download the CSV and put it into Underdog, it's a lot easier. Everything's right in front of you. You don't have to sort through all the names. You can just flip through ADP and rankings back and forth. Like if you're looking here, then you'd get a rankings section here and you can click back, kind of like how the projected in ADP works. But on this, we're kind of just sorting through a bunch of BS. 153 is Eckler. Eckler could be on the board at 153. It's around where his ADP is. Tank's probably off the board if I had to guess. No, Tank is still on the board. So they do like Tank and Eckler. Tank actually more than Eckler. So maybe we roll that route. They also like Romeo Dobbs a lot, who I'm also a fan of. Don't think we have any Green Bay. We need running back production. I think we go Tank or Eckler first. Eckler off the board. Hopefully we can get Tank. Ferguson goes, so we're going to go ahead and get Tank at 153. It goes with our Trevor Lawrence and Brian Thomas Jr. Tank was explosive last year. Dobbs off right after us. Potentially we could get Liggett. They like Jalen McMillan at 156. So that's potential for us. I don't know where they have Liggett at. Nowhere up there. They probably are lower on Xavier Liggett. Yeah, I can't even find Liggett down here. 175 versus a lot of these other guys. McMillan, Liggett all gone. So we're actually going to be left with Jalen Wright at running back, who they have a 166 anyway. That's above anybody that we could have picked right there because all of our guys are off the board. We're going to be light on receiver. We're ripping a 2-5-5-2 build right now. Allen, Lawrence, James Cook, Joe Mixon, Cam Scatterbu, Tank Bigsby, Jalen Wright, Ryan Thomas Jr., Jerry Jeudy, Khalil Shakir, Brandon Ayuk, Christian Kirk, Brock Bowers, and David Njoku. I don't feel too bad about the running back room. There's room for upside. We have some decent stackage going on, but we need receivers. So if we go back to 177, scroll down, 177 would be Sam Darnold. We're not even looking there. Alec Pierce could be an option for us, who I'm also a big fan of. Jalen Noel, they like ahead of Pierce, which I could be fine with. We do have Christian Kirk. We could double up though, not a big deal. They like Wandale at 169 as well. I'm also not the biggest fan, but we did make the bet on Cam Scatterbu. What other receivers do they like? Damari Douglas at 181. So after everybody else. They do like Slayton. I think we continue to roll off the rankings, so we'll go Wandale first, Noel, then Pierce. Again, trying to follow the rankings as closely as possible. We could snag Gino if we wanted. I don't think it's necessary. Never mind. Gino goes to the Jacoby Myers team, so we will roll with a 2 quarterback, 2 tight end build, most likely here. Douglas does go, Wando goes, so we're going to end up with Noel and Kirk. So just doubling down on Houston receivers. And at that point, we are going to need another receiver. So Slayton is another option for us. Someone that's going to run routes. If Alec Pierce does not make it back to us. They like Jalen Coker. They like Andre Yoshivas. Again, we need early production at this point in the draft to account for Brandon Ayuk and also Jalen Noel to kind of get acclimated to his offense. The only problem I have with sometimes going 2 quarterbacks and 2 tight ends together is you're an injury away from, chaos. You have to run pretty pure, which you do have to run pure anyway to win this kind of stuff, but Giddens goes, so we are going to get Pierce at a little bit of a value there. 5 picks past ADP. Nice guy that will or should be on the field, hopefully. Just kind of questions at quarterback. He didn't have to take Darius Slayton. He'll end up being off the board. So right now we're at a 2-5-7-2 build with 2 more slots open. It does leave the gap or opening, like the ability for us to take AR or Daniel Jones if we really wanted to be crazy. We'll never try to take a Cleveland quarterback till that's clear down the road. Giants, kind of similar thing. We could take a shot at Dart, but we didn't actually take Wandale or Slayton, so no need to take Russ or Dart. Well, pick 201 is our next pick. And again, this is where we're getting kind of gross. Nobody actually knows what's going to happen around this range. A lot of question marks. Juwan Johnson does also become an option. They like him at 192 ahead of Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones. They like Lockett, Atwell, Coker. Slayton's still on the board, so. They also really like Yoshivas still. I was higher on him last year, maybe not so much this year. I'm also a fan of Jalen Coker. They have Coker at 186, right below Slayton, so wouldn't mind a Jalen Coker snag there. When it comes to running backs, Nick Chubb's been gone. Marshawn Lloyd, I'm actually not opposed to a Marshawn Lloyd snag here. Maybe do like a Wicks Lloyd type thing if we wanted to. It's a possibility. Could also go Jerome Ford. I think with the Cleveland bet, we could go Ford. Actually going to take a shot at Lloyd here. Maybe he has a nice showing for that team. So that does open up the idea of a Dontavian Wicks. The receiver room is pretty clogged. With Wicks, Golden, Reed, and Dobbs. And honestly, probably not like the most, not that much pass volume. Which I think if we're taking Lloyd, we're kind of betting on not a lot of pass volume. We don't want Ford. Just comes down to Coker or Wicks. Coker is their highest rated. Coker is still there for us. Carolina does have a decent matchup against Miami. Week 17. Let's go Coker. Just betting on a lot of young guys this year, so that ends the draft with a 2-6-8-2 build. Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence. We got them stacked up with Shakir and James Cook, and then Trevor Lawrence is stacked up with Bigsby, Brian Thomas, and then we also mix in Joe Mixon and Noel and Kirk with a little correlation there, betting on the Houston offense being better than they were. Cleveland correlation with Njoku and Jerry Jeudy. And then a bunch of young guys. So Tank Bigsby in his third year, rookie and Cam Scadaboo, Jalen Wright in his second year, Marshawn Lloyd in his second year. So a lot of second year guys hoping for a breakout. Hoping on some rookie breakouts with Noel, and then BTJ in his second year, Pierce in, I want to say, his third year, and then Coker in his second year, Bowers in his second year. So a pretty young team that we drafted, and a lot of bets on offenses to get better than they were last year with the Jaguars now that they're healthy, and get Travis Hunter back, or not back, but into the lineup. Betting on bounce backs for like Miami. The Giants should be better. Bounce backs for Houston is a big one as well, where now that the offense has more weapons, they're healthy. Nico's healthy, Stroud's healthy. They get Kirk. So I think the Kirk bet gives room for Noel to grow, and then I'm assuming he could take his role. So not the greatest way to play best ball. It's almost like a contingent on Kirk not doing well, but at the same time, I want to bet on Houston to throw the ball more. With Mixon, less risk for injury, I guess you could say, by them throwing the ball more. So maybe being more efficient, being in the red zone more. But yeah, we'll see how that plays out. Again, 2-6-8-2 build. Allen, Lawrence, Cook, Mixon, Scadaboo, Bigsby, Wright, Lloyd, Thomas, Jeudy, Shakir, Ayuk, Kirk, Noel, Pierce, Coker, Bowers, and Njoku. So pretty fun team there. But that's going to do it for the video using Fantasy Pros rankings. Again, if you want to check those out, in the link description below. Also, you can just go to fantasypros.com, head over to the rankings tab, go to featured, scroll down to best ball rankings as well. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. Leave a comment down below what you thought of the draft, what you thought we could have done better, and then what you disagree with the Fantasy Pros rankings. In my opinion, I disagree with having a lot of the running backs so overvalued comparative to receiver in best ball, where you have to start 3. And I don't know if they necessarily account for that. Although, from what I know, most best ball leagues, whether it's DraftKings or Underdog, use a 3 wide receiver lineup plus a flex. I'm not sure why the rankings would be a little more aggressive on running back unless it has something to do with last year's kind of blow up with running backs and not getting injured as well. But we'll see what happens with that team. Should be fun. Hopefully we can make another finals with that and win this 40K. Would be exciting. Appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you in the next video. All right, that does it for the video for the Fantasy Pros, but now we're going to continue the live stream, jump into one more poodle. This will be the last poodle we do.
Them up even more than that.
Ooh, my bad. This will be the last poodle we do. So we'll end at 6. And then this will close soon. And when this closes, hopefully we'll get some puppies. Another puppy would be nice. And heading into July 4th next week. It's exciting stuff on a Friday too. Not going to be able to live stream as much in the mornings unless it's super early. Probably going to have to do a lot more evening streams starting a job this coming Monday. Work from home, but not going to be able to stream as much in the mornings. Just a heads up. But if you're liking the content, make sure you like and subscribe. Please hit the bell for notifications. Drop a comment, drop a question in the comment section below. Anything you want to do, help us boost the algorithm. Help us help you, honestly, for what it's worth. Appreciate everyone for being here or tuning in later. Means a lot. But yeah, we're continuing to draft. Again, we're just some regular dudes using our own money, not sponsored, not affiliated with anything. Just trying to play best ball, trying to get better, figure out the contests, and get lucky. Because at the end of the day, you can, put in 100 different strategies, whatever, think what works, but at the end of the day, nobody knows what's going to happen. Injuries are just the biggest part of sports and the biggest variable. And then there's other variables as well, whether it's coaching and scheme, and which comes down to coaching. It's there's a lot more variables that we can't factor in to this kind of stuff, and we can only make the most educated guess we can, and even then it doesn't really matter because we can't account for age cliffs and who's gonna get who's gonna fall off more because of who they are as an athlete or whatnot. We just can't determine that ever. You can make educated guesses, but last year it bit a lot of people in the butt trying to set a basis that old running backs can't play the game. Well, it turns out they can, especially when you get a bunch of elite guys that have been doing it for a while. They just prove everybody wrong. And especially when there's a big scheme change in offenses scenarios because of defenses now playing two highs and taking away the deep ball and everything in the pass happy league. We're now offenses are oh, let's just run the ball. So you get the older backs that somehow defy injuries and get a big workload. So anything can happen. Strategies differ every year. And it's all about getting lucky. Obviously, the more you draft, the luckier you can get. But it's hard to make money in this. You can't expect to make money in this. Obviously, it's a gamble. And we just draft for fun, and I get giddy over it. I love drafting. Gibbs off at 6. Who don't I have a lot of, actually? In the first round, I don't even know. We built a Genty team yesterday. I have a little bit of Genty. In the 10 hole, I feel like I've drafted in the 10 hole here like every time. Like that's not even like a joke. We have a ton of London. I don't really want London. I'm cool with Malik Neighbors here. The Giants play week 16. The Giants play the Raiders. So it could make a Bowers build. We just built a Bowers team last time. I lied. We're going to go London. I love London. Could have built a Henry team, I guess. We've just built teams from back here so much that I haven't drafted a ton of guys on the other side of the board. Probably should have built a Bowers team, but whatever. Atlanta plays the Rams. So like we can set ourselves up for Rams, Atlanta. Like what I like to do is, if you guys are new, you guys can queue up a ton of players. And I like to do that unless you have an overlay. But I like to queue up guys that I could get to match for the playoffs. Just so I have a visual on like who's up, because sometimes people are off the screen and you can't see who's there. But it's also fun to not even, because a lot of guys and people will build based off of the 100% drafted, whereas like it's fun to build some of these teams going in for week 17 with like guys that don't go fully drafted. So Trey Tucker, Raheem Mostert, teams like that could fit the build, especially if you like feel comfortable at running back or receiver and you can take kind of a shot on somebody, building like a Michael Mayer if you wanted to as a third tight end. You know, Brock gets hurt is always a possibility, which actually is something that we might do this draft. Like that could be a fun option. But that's if you like to build for week 17. Obviously, you don't have to do that. It's not the only thing that matters. It's something that should be in your mind, but it doesn't fully matter. They were discussing an extension. Got some fallers here because Allen goes early. Not sure how else we got to that point. I will take Devontae Adams if he falls here. Probably not, though. I would assume he goes. He doesn't have a receiver. Pretty sure he'll just take Devontae here. He does. So we'll take Kyron for the Atlanta versus Rams game. We didn't get too fancy in terms of ADP. I wouldn't have minded if Brees fell, but oh well. I don't have a lot of worthy. Let's take Xavier Worthy. Don't have a lot of him. because Lamar went. I have too much Daniels. Just gives us out a quarterback too. Not the greatest build for week 17 because Kansas City does play the Broncos week 17, so not the spiciest game, but never know. Never know what happens to defenses. Hubbard off at 44. Jaden falls to 45. I'm just so used to picking at 10, like just constantly getting the same guys over and over again. So last draft though, we were talking about we went BTJ at 9. That's what I mean. Like BTJ goes at 11 here. Bowers goes at 18. Like it's not a common pairing to get. So that was fun. Neighbors in London, pretty common. I did a Neighbors and Rice team the one day. You know, you always mess around with like Neighbors and T. Just to mix early draft stuff up, but we're kind of spot on for ADP with our first 3 picks with Neighbors, London, Kyron. I've just clicked Drake London so much. Probably kind of concerning, but it's hard to go against ADP. But if you have a bet on a player and you want to take him before ADP, it's never the worst thing in the world, unless you're like a couple rounds ahead of ADP, but we're about to be on the clock here. I'll take a lot of these running backs. I'm gonna see if I can't get one of these guys to fall to me. Pretty good Jennings. See if we can't get one of them to fall to us. We'll pair up Harvey with Worthy for the week 17 matchup, and then we have the Rams Atlanta week 17 matchup as well. Get Harvey at a value, 3 picks. An 0240 build with Kyron, Harvey, Neighbors, London, Worthy, Jennings. Could be spicy. You know, use also when it comes to like ADP and it comes to reaching on guys versus values, like obviously if you can get a value, do it. At the same time, think about like what could be a deal breaker or a tiebreaker for you. Is the week 17 matchup, right? If it's there, or just if it's a good one in general, where like I don't want to bet on the Kansas City Denver game being a high scoring game, but it could be, it very well could be. 2 potentially good offensive, but 2 potentially good defenses. So it's tough to say, and then weather plays a factor that late in the season for both of those climates. But we made our bet already on it. It's like it's a tiebreaker for me to take Harvey there instead of someone like James Conner or Travion Henderson. With that being said, like I don't think I want to build like a crazy, like Bo Nix is an option, but I don't think I want to build out a crazy Denver team. I will take Mahomes at a value just because he's Patrick Mahomes. So like, but it's tough, you know. It's always tough on what you're taking. And I do like the later guys. Like I like Penix, I like Stafford. Like dude, don't give me Matthew Golden at a value. Like I have way too much Matthew Golden. Thank God. All right, we're gonna go Pacheco. Now it's like, do we take Mahomes here, or do we grab receiver? Ibuka goes. That's kind of who I wanted. Just go Patty. We have Pacheco, Worthy, and Patrick Mahomes. Not an uncommon pairing. Nix has been falling in some of these drafts. I think last draft he fell to where I'm at. So if he did fall to 106, like I would definitely take him. I'd assume the Sutton drafter ends up snagging him at the 101. But so far we go Neighbors, London, Kyron, Worthy, Jennings, Harvey, Pacheco, Mahomes. So we're at a 1-3-4-0 build. Definitely going to be a 3 tight end build. Probably a 3 quarterback build, even if it's a sneaky quarterback at the end like Geno. And then taking someone like Michael Mayer late. Fields has also been falling. Really just depends on the room. Andrews goes way ahead of ADP. Brian Robinson is a faller. Bo Nix does go off the board right with Fields. At the turn, I figured Bo Nix would go to the Sutton drafter. Jaden Higgins does go. We're kind of lined up for the Scattaboo pick again if we really wanted to do that. I don't have a ton of Cam Scattaboo. I have too much KC already. Not going to go with Kelsey. Baker has been a huge faller in a lot of these drafts. Which who does Tampa play in that matchup? They play Miami. Like, they do have a good matchup late. Baker ends up going. Who's he go to? Baker just goes to nobody. I like Ingram here. I like Shaheed here. Grab Shaheed as our 5th receiver. I'm pretty comfortable at running back right now. Purdy's potentially a value pick for us too. Goff off the board. Now the question bodes, do we take Purdy? Who's their matchup? Take Purdy. We'll lock him in with Juwan. I just don't like to fall behind a quarterback. We already had Mahomes, so I didn't feel like we were falling behind, but decent start. 2-3-5-0. Punting tight end to the curb. Telling it to F off. Seems to be the plan, the play, per usual. Herbert goes a little bit ahead of ADP. Scatterboo falling, Ingram falling. And looking back, probably should have taken Ingram just for the sole purpose of the Kansas City game, but whatever. He falls 12 picks past. Should be back on the board at like 130, I want to say. Yeah, pick 130. We're back on the board. Njoku could be our first tight end. Could continue to punt up their mind. Njoku off the board. Loveland off the board. I like Tucker Kraft. I do like Ramondre, a running back too. Ramondre goes. We'll go Kraft. Green Bay does play Denver in week 15, so a little bit of spin there, huh? Maybe go Spears. They play San Fran and KC. Get some value on Tajay. 2, 4, 5, 1. Mahomes, Purdy, Williams, Harvey, Pacheco, Tajay. Neighbors, London, Worthy, Jennings, Shaheed. And then Tucker Kraft at tight end. I still think the Geno play could be cool with Michael Mayer late. If Jack Besh really fell, which he has been, but we'll see if the ADP Hawks are out. Kind of toned down my Rashad White bags. Had to cool the Jets on that. Algier off a 145 at the turn. Garendo Algier. Okay. He doubles down with Sutton Mims. We get off, Eckler off, Tillman off. Kincaid a big faller. Trevor Lawrence a big faller this draft. Quite incredible. Michael Penix a faller. Besh does go. Might as well go Penix here. Hits off. We're going to go Penix. Lawrence ends up going to the BTJ team. We're done at quarterback, so we have Mahomes, Purdy, Penix. So now we just kind of have a case here to make with like, Let's grab some Roshan. Because Chicago does play San Francisco. They do play Green Bay, so kind of tie that in a little bit. No more quarterbacks for us. We're at a 3-5-5-1, fully punted tight end. Think we take like a Michael Mayer. I don't know. We'll just see. We'll see what falls. Darnold goes at 168. Interesting. Probably at Cup or JSN. I'm not even sure when we're back on the board. $178 we're on the board. Okay. Probably done at running back with the amount of... Yeah, we're done at running back. It's going to be just a 3-5-7-3 build. I do like Michael Wilson. Nope. Okay, never mind. Don't like Michael Wilson. I don't like him. We're on the clock. It's good, Noel. Lead receivers. Houston plays Vegas week 16. Mason Taylor goes. Damn, we wanted Mason Taylor. Do we just continue to stack? Slayton? I guess. He's just a guy that plays football. I mean, doesn't hurt. We're pretty cooked at tight end, but that's all we have left. I don't mind Jawan since we have Shaheed. We just fully punted tight end. But yeah, Jawan since we have Shaheed. I mean, Theo Johnson's there. Then we have our Michael Mayer swing. Noah Gray, maybe? Not something I would like love to do. Terrence Ferguson, Higbee. Oh, it is Tyler Higbee. Whoops. 32. Quite an old man. Maybe Terrence Ferguson does do something. $211. I don't know, Tucker Craft week 5 bye is kind of like, we need somebody that could fill in for that, maybe. I guess I didn't even think we took Neighbors and Slayton. Meh, could be worse, to be honest. Just trying to look, I don't know. We definitely go Jawan. Unless he goes Jawan, I guess. Everyone is vying for a tight end right now, by the way. He's a running back, kind of. Here's Jarquez. We're going to go Jawan. This guy has Isaiah Likely, Mason Taylor. This guy has Pat Freiermuth. He ends up going Chig. And Blake Corums. 6 running backs for that guy. He takes my Noah Gray, so we're going to go Terrence Ferguson. Set up the Atlanta Rams game. We have Penix, London, Kyron, and Ferguson for the Atlanta Rams game. Yeah, that could be interesting there. I don't think Atlanta plays. No. Figured Atlanta might play New Orleans, but they don't. But yeah, that's going to finish it there. We do the 3-5-7-3 build. Mahomes, Purdy, Penix, Kyron, Harvey, Pacheco, Spears, Roshan, Neighbors, London, Worthy, Jennings, Shaheed, Noel, Slayton, Kraft, Jawan, Ferguson. Obviously have the Mahomes, Pacheco, Worthy. They play Denver and Harvey in week 17. We get the Purdy and Jennings stack. We get the Atlanta, London stack. And they go up against Ferguson and Kyron. So some correlation there, week 17. Decent build as well. Let's go ahead and label these drafts real quick. This one was our, what is this? 6/27 Fantasy Bros. 2-6. Wait, who is this? Buffalo Jags. Damn. We'll keep it down. I don't know what it means. I will know what that means. The other one should be done. Let's see if we can label that. Nice. Cool. 6/27 KC San Fran Atlanta 3-5-7-3. Okay, we're done there with the poodles. We did 6 poodles. We had 3-5-7-3 build, a 2-6-8-2 build, a 3-6-7-2 build, a 2-5-8-3 build, a 3-5-8-2 build, a 2-6-7-3 build. So tons of different builds there for us. Pretty fun. Pretty cool. We'll see what wins. We did 3 yesterday. I did 1 on the day before, and then I did 2 today. So that should be closing here soon. Actually, I didn't even look at what the fill is now. It's 80% full. So again, if you guys want to hop in and draft the Underdog, if you haven't already signed up, link in description, code Temptation. You get up to $1,000 deposit match on your first deposit. Helps us out a little bit, helps you out a little bit. You'll get your own code too. You can hand out to friends where they can do the same thing, and you can kind of earn a little reward for that as well. We're not sponsored or affiliated. Yeah, make sure you guys do that. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube, please. Hit the bell for notifications for when we go live. And that's it. That's going to do it for the stream. Hour and a half deep. Appreciate everyone and anyone for watching. And we'll be back whenever the new contests drop.